Hello. Today's short video will be on properly and honestly disclosing everything you can about your stamp when using EasyGrader and grading stamps and offering them for sale. For a flawless stamp, the centering of the stamp is identical to the grade of the stamp. So if a stamp grades as VF85 and has no flaws of any kind, the E grade will also be VF85. But if a stamp has flaws such as minor thins, minor tears, or missing or short perforations, then the centering and E grade will be different, and in fact the E grade will be lower than the centering of the stamp. Let's look closely at the stamp below, this one here, the Canada Bluenose, which I purchased many years ago when I was a teenager in Scarborough, Ontario. I purchased this in an old brick and mortar shop called the House of Stamps. I'm not sure if it's there anymore, but I distinctly remember it. As a teenager, this stamp was always intriguing me, but I could not afford to spend the money for a perfect copy of this stamp. The owner, who I don't recall his name at this time, was a very nice man. He spent many hours teaching me some things about stamps and what to look for. I remember many discussions and him showing me things to watch for and other collections and so forth. One thing that he stressed was buy what you like and don't worry too much about what others tells you or too much about the value. And I very clearly remember him telling me that when I got older that I would likely replace and repurchase some nice stamps as I had more income and time. And he was bang on this. So back to this stamp. I purchased this stamp for $14 back in 1976. I actually still have the receipt. I purchased this stamp because it was nice looking with great eye appeal and centering. The seller from this store was very honest and told me the reason he was selling it to me at such a low cost. And he said mainly it was because of the flaws on the back. But at that time, I really didn't care. I just wanted a copy of it, so I got it. I recently sold this stamp for $40 to a young collector with full disclosure, and I offered the same kind words that were given to me by the original seller. So why did it only cost me $14? Let's have a look. Okay, so as you can see, when this stamp is graded through EasyGrader, it comes in as a superb 98. It's a great looking stamp. But if you look at the back, which I'll open now, if you look at the back of this stamp, about 1/3 of the stamp has some gum disturbance. There's a large hinge remnant here, and there is a small thin in this area, which is really hard to show on the image, but it's definitely there if you hold it up against the light. In EasyGrader, one of the new things that we have added is the ability to adjust the grade and make notes of these flaws. When you do this, the grade will be adjusted and reported accordingly on the certificate. So let's do this. So once you've graded your stamp, simply click on this eye icon right here, and you'll be presented with this screen, which lets you choose from there's a whole bunch of different adjustments that you can make. So let's do one here. So the first one I'm going to do is the thin. So I click on thins, and you'll see a selection of amounts of different things that you can do. The thin on the back of this stamp is around 1 to 2 millimeters, so I just double click here and it gets entered in the summary of adjustments down here. The next thing I want to do is the hinge remnants. So I go down here where it says hinge remnants, I double click, and I would consider that a major hinge remnant. Double click on that and it appears here. And then we're going to tell it about the gum. And this definitely has disturbed original gum covering more than 25% of the stamp. And there it is. And now once you're done, just click here. And now you'll see that the adjusted grade has now been displayed on the grader screen. So this stamp started out as a superb 98, but in fact it's more likely around a fine 70 when you consider the damage that's on the back of the stamp. Otherwise, it's a perfectly good stamp, but you need to disclose fully if you're going to be selling this stamp. Now, I also tend to enter notes in this area down here for identification and other details so that they print on the certificate, which I'll do now. So normally I would type in some descriptive information. Oops. Oh, let me type that in. So that is a Canada Scott number 158, and I will say that it's got a hinge remnant, minor thin, and disturbed gum. Original gum, actually. Okay, so what we can do now is you can just print the certificate. And if you look here, there is our notes, and here are the adjustments that we made to the stamp. On the certificate, you'll see the actual E grade that was calculated was Superb 98, but the adjusted grade after we disclosed the flaws is a fine 70. Disclosing everything about your stamps will build the level of trust between you and your buyers, and vice versa. As a buyer, you can always scan the stamp or grab the image from the seller, paste it into Easy Grader, and grade it. Okay, that's it for today. Have fun and be safe.